All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with episode 2 of the greatest podcast on the planet Earth today. We forgot to do this last week. I don't know how it slipped my mind, but guys, we do have a sponsor, W Energy. Go to w.gg.com and use code BHE at checkout to save 10% on your first order and any of your orders, in fact. But we are back. I'm here with my co-host Cody. So round it up, man. How are you doing this week?
I'm doing pretty good, man. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. It was a great week of wrestling, great week in general. So doing great.
I wasn't as impressed with it as you were. I guess we'll get into
What?
it. But yeah. I yeah,
Okay.
I guess why don't we jump into Monday Night Raw and then we'll kind of get to everything. Um let's see here. So, opening match. Oh, I had another window playing some sound there. That was confused me a bit. There we go. Got that sorted out. Yeah, so opening match of Monday Night Raw. Jey Uso and the New Day defeated Imperium. I thought that was a pretty good match. I really liked. There was a spot where the Jey Uso and the New Day hit a modified 3D on. I don't remember if it was Kaiser or Giovanni, but it was a pretty cool spot. So obviously Gunther wasn't the one that got pinned. They don't want to bury him, but Uso's the one that pinned Giovanni, I think. So what do you think of the match?
So one spot that I figured you would bring up but didn't was there was a moment where I forgot who it was that Gunther had in the Boston Crab. But when I tell you Jey Uso slapped the ever-loving piss out of Gunther, it was like one of those moments where you're like, oh my gosh. So he's like talking trash like Gunther would. He's a natural heel, good heel. And he was saying, what are you going to do? Gunther was screaming at him, what are you going to do? Jay goes through the rope, smacks him, and then just gets his head knocked off, which I thought was great. I think this is a good story for Jay, and if anybody beats Gunther, I think the guy to do it is Jey Uso. For the longest time, I said they were going to wait until sorry if you guys hear my dog barking in the background, but I thought they were going to wait until Bash in Berlin and have Dragunov take it off of him. For the longest time, that's what I've thought and still kind of think. But the more and more we go on about this feud, which hopefully culminates soon, I feel like Jey Uso is that guy.
I think they call him main event Jey Uso for a reason. I think he's got to get elevated. Yeah. He's got to at least make a serious run at singles gold now that he's split with his brother. So anything can happen, man. I think it's pretty likely. So I'm getting these results from Forbes.com. Forbes gave that match a grade of a B. I think that's about right. I don't.
That's about right.
Yeah, I don't have any serious issues with that. Yeah, definitely.
It did its job.
For sure. Next up, we have a Elimination Chamber qualifying match. Bobby Lashley defeated Bronson Reed. Yeah, I got to tell you, man, I met Bronson Reed at right before the watch party that you and I met each other at in Tampa, Florida at the Buck Stadium. Bronson Reed, one of the absolute nicest people. Like he stayed longer than he was supposed to. He wanted to get a picture and autograph with anybody that wanted one. Super down to earth guy. I know Lashley's got to go over here, but I'm excited to see Bronson do some things in the future.
So his initial run in WWE, I couldn't stand because this dude needed to be booked as a fucking monster. And now they're doing it with him and it works for him. Like like you've said, I think I met him one time and it was just, quick, how are you? Good to see you, whatever. But from my interaction with the dude, and it seems like all the NXT call-ups, and I'm not just saying this because they have to be nice, some of the nicest people you ever meet in your life. And I think it's good experience for them to do events like that because it also allows them to get out of character for a moment. Like for him, he plays a heel on TV, but he's one of the nicest people on the planet Earth. So, getting those opportunities to meet fans and show the people who you really are, I think gets people behind them a lot more. And I think WWE doesn't do that enough. So Bronson Reed, hate to see him lose here. I would have had Bronson go over, but that's just me. But I'm excited to see him go for like an Intercontinental title or even a U.S. title run. Wouldn't be upset at that.
Definitely. And one of my biggest gripes with WWE for the longest time, and the most notable example I can say is Bray Wyatt, where, Bray Wyatt is supposed to be, he's obviously sadly passed now, but, at the time he was supposed to be a supernatural kind of character. And, if you think about The Undertaker had this persona of a zombie that just kind of kept going forward no matter what you hit him with. He kept moving forward. He kept taking everything and, coming forward. And I just feel like every time I saw a Bray Wyatt match, it's like, oh, he's losing to Dolph Ziggler. He's losing to, it's not like it's not like it takes half the roster to beat him. It's half the people on the roster can beat him clean. And I think monsters like Bronson Reed, you gotta have them run through people. Granted, Bobby Lashley's a physical monster too, so probably not any damage done there. But they gotta know their audience and they gotta like push the guys, I think.
But yeah, I said with the Bray's like last run that he had before he passed away. If you do not know, I'm the biggest Bray Wyatt fan on the planet Earth. Like when he passed away, that was one of the only times I think I've literally hit my knees in front of everybody that was here. It was a whole family gathering. And I read it on Twitter, and I was bawling like a child. Bray touched me on a level that I can never repay. I mean, we literally watched him debut before he was even on TV in a house show at Charleston, West Virginia. And I looked at my dad that night, and I said, he is a future world champion. And then, 12 years later, it became true. I miss him every day. I literally have a standee of him in my room. I think about him every day. So if he is not in the Hall of Fame this year, it's a criminal thing, and if anybody deserves that Hall of Fame induction, it is Bray Wyatt. So, and you're right about that. For the longest time, he was not booked right. So,
yeah, he will be definitely sooner than later in the Hall of Fame. And even thinking back to his one of my last memories with him is he had that WrestleMania match with Orton and Alexa Bliss, whatever, had the thing where blood or whatever it was running down her face, and then Orton RKO'd him. And even then I was like, what are they doing? And you always hope that, there was going to be more to the story and kind of a redemption. And sadly, I never feel like we got there. So anyway, so next up, Cody Rhodes has an in-ring face-off mic segment with Seth freaking Rollins. The way Forbes wrote this is, a face-off. This was definitely buddy.
There was no face-off to it, Forbes. I don't know what you're talking about there. It's kind of more like a, hey, I'm here if you need me type of thing. So
absolutely. Rollins basically alluded to the fact, you got screwed over last year. The family, the bloodline screwed you over. Now he's got the biggest star in the world, The Rock, back. Essentially, you need some help, and not just any help. You need an architect. You need a visionary. You need Seth freaking Rollins. He made an illusion that he will be the shield for Cody Rhodes. I feel like this is a little bit of continuation from what we saw at the press conference. Rock slapped Cody. Rollins shot in there like The Rock slapped Rollins' brother. And I'll be interested to see where they go with this. Do you feel like it's building to a tag team match at WrestleMania?
I was just getting ready to say that. So I think it's clear that that's where they're going to go night one. I don't think that's what needs to happen because I don't think you need to have both guys in your main event of night two pull double duty. If anybody could pull off double duty and it makes sense, would be Cody. So, like I said last week, I think you need to book it like Daniel Bryan in 2014, trying to get to the main event of WrestleMania 30 and have him fight The Rock at night one. I stream these shows on Facebook and Twitch. If you guys don't follow me on there every week, all except for Raw because Raw's 3 hours and it's way too damn long to stream.
Twitch.tv/Brotherhood Entertainment 2. Follow the man.
Exactly. Phenomenal stuff. But one of my friends brought up a good point. Colin, if you're watching, buddy, how are you? I feel like this might be maybe The Rock turns on Roman at Mania. Like maybe that's how Cody wins. But when we get to SmackDown, something happened that was incredible on SmackDown with The Rock. And, man, it just brought back so much nostalgia for me. But I clearly think that's what's going to happen at night one, and I necessarily don't want to see it, but I'll be okay with it. I don't think you need both of your top guys in your main event of night two to pull double duty, but I understand why you kind of want to get your eyes off of that Vince McMahon situation. And if you have a Rock and Reigns team and at night one, everybody's going to be talking about it, So I get it. And I'm here for it. I haven't been this excited for a build towards WrestleMania in the last 10 years. So they're doing something right.
I'm not the biggest fan of tag team matches in a main event, but like
with the exception of last year, right? I feel like the last year that main event earned that main event spot, right? The Usos and Sami Zayn.
Yeah, definitely. I always if you think about WrestleMania as like one giant event, even though it spans 2 nights, I know there's technically a main event each night, but in my mind, like there's really one main event, So I think the main event of night 2 will be Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns, and I think it's got to be. I'm cautiously optimistic. I think I said that last time. I remain cautiously optimistic. I like what they're building towards. I hope that they make everything make sense, and so far, I think they're getting there.
Yeah, they're getting there. This is probably one of the best builds to a WrestleMania we've had in the last 10 years. And if you're not watching WWE and you're one of those AEW guys that says, I'm not watching WWE, you're delusional. Watch it because it's been really good the last couple of weeks. And that's coming from an AEW guy. Like, I love AEW. That's coming from an AEW guy. Watch WWE, especially this time of year, please. It's been really good.
Yeah. I stand. I'm open to the possibility that I could be wrong, but I feel like everything was so set up last year for Cody to, beat Roman that I think even if he beats him this year, and all signs indicate that he's going to.
Oh, 100%.
I still think it made more sense to do it last year, but obviously, you can't go back and change time.
Business is business. And
business,
I think
business is business.
I think a lot of fans lose that aspect. A lot of people are upset about last year. I was one of the very few people that said he's not going to win. They're going to pull a, kind of like a Cena in 2012 type of thing where he has to go through hell to get back to the main event. And they've done a really good job. I think I wasn't a big Cody Rhodes fan. I love Cody, but I wasn't a big Cody Rhodes fan going into this year. And he's changed that, man. He's one of my guys now. So they're doing something right with him. And I genuinely think that this is the year that Cody Rhodes finishes his story. And I think it's going to be a feel-good moment. A lot of people are going to love it. But
Yep. Yeah, definitely. I have a little bit of a conspiracy theory that I don't remember exactly what the timeline was, but in my memory, it was like 2 days after WrestleMania is when they announced the sale of the company. And the conspiracy theorist in me thinks that, Cody was maybe going to win, but with the new ownership group taking over, there was a little bit of hesitation on, well, we're spending $9 billion to take this thing over. We want the established face of the company that, we don't want that to change right out of the gates. I kind of think of that, if that sale hadn't gone through at that time, I think there's a decent chance that Cody would have done it last year. Obviously, we'll never know.
100%. With them selling that company, I feel like that's what a lot of people forgot is they sold it to a company that really didn't know a damn thing about professional wrestling, if we're being honest. And so they have to have their marquee guys. And maybe when they were selling it, they were like, oh, well, this is a good pitch to TKO, so let's just keep it on Roman and see where it goes.
Sure. Very, very true. Yeah, I feel like, I don't know if you follow UFC.
Mm-hmm.
Do you more and more, really, Conor McGregor is the first. I'm sure he wasn't the first one to do it, but Conor McGregor took it to the next level of, he did these amazing WWE style promos. He went to the press conference. He'd talk shit about the guy. He would call a shot in a lot of the early fights and say, I'm going to sleep you inside the first 2 minutes. And he would go out and do it. And, it captivated a lot of people. And now I think more and more UFC fighters have seen that. And I think UFC as a business model is, even though it's completely unscripted, you don't know what you're going to get because it is real. More and more you get the WWE style build to it, the video packages, the press conferences, everything like that. So I think I don't remember like what except I think you said it was because they didn't know anything about the wrestling business, and that's true. But I think that from a standpoint of like selling these fights, real or scripted, I think it makes sense in some aspects.
100%.
So Forbes gave that segment between Cody and Seth Rollins an A. I would have put it like a B.
Yeah. I think a B minus B would be right up there because and no fault of these guys' own, but like there's a Nia Jax moment that we'll get to because good God Almighty, do I want to talk about that for a second? But
yeah,
there's just so many. There's like, you spend 20 minutes on one segment, and that's one of my biggest gripes. That's why I don't stream Raw over on twitch.tv/Brotherhood Entertainment too. Don't forget to go look it up. But that's why I don't stream Raw is because you're spending 30 minutes on one segment that half the people don't give two shits about. And so for me, it ran a little long. They got the point across, but it still ran a little long for me. So I'd give it like a B minus.
Yeah. I would say B plus. I feel like the only reason I'm giving it that much is I do feel like it carried the story a little bit forward. It kind of builds on the press conference where, Rock slapped Cody, Rollins jumped in. Rollins is now officially stated, I got your back. So I feel like it moved the ball ahead a little bit, but I mean, and I guess they do have 50 days till WrestleMania now. So, I mean, I know that, you can't tell all of the story in one night, but I feel like a lot of what happened on Raw and SmackDown just didn't do anything to carry the story forward. And I guess we'll jump into it a little bit more, but so you want to jump into the next match?
Sure, absolutely.
Cool. So next match we have Liv Morgan defeating Zoe Stark. This is like a perfect summary. I feel like, I know when both of these elimination chambers were doing a qualifying match style. This is one of those matches that, you knew from the gate it was going to be Liv Morgan.
I love Zoe Stark so much though. And
yeah,
I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry, but I have a lot.
No, you're good, man.
I absolutely
go for it because I don't have much to say.
I have been following Zoe Stark. I don't know if you guys knew, but she was on the Indies for quite a while before she came to WWE, and she was so good, man. And just to see her not being billed as this monster, like we said last week with who was it, Shayna Baszler, who needs a mouthpiece.
Mm-hmm.
You could build Zoe Stark the same way. Like just she's such an intimidating figure, and the fact that Liv Morgan, like she had her moment. I think she's peaked in popularity, honestly, in her career. So I don't think she's going to get any more popular than what she is.
I think she's going to win the Royal Rumble next year.
Really?
I do.
That's a bold prediction.
She's been runner up back to back. She was like, well, I mean, I know she was a return, but she was like one of the biggest pops of the night. She was, I think.
See, I would have said Alexa next year, but that's just me.
I mean, I love Alexa. Like Alexa's my favorite of the women. I guess I was gonna say divas, but that's not what they're called anymore. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, Alexa would make sense too, but I feel like Liv Morgan, she's in the top echelon, and I think that she could be one of the women main eventing WrestleMania next year. But sorry, go ahead.
But yeah, I just think that they keep burying poor Zoe Starks, man. And this was I'm very vocal about my hatred for women's professional wrestling. I don't really enjoy it, but I had a great time with this match, and with every match, honestly, on both Raw and SmackDown. There was not a bad match, in my opinion, in both of these shows this past week. So, for those two to go out there and impress me was a very, very good up to them. But I just thought the wrong person won. I think that, granted, Liv's established and everything, but I think Zoe Starks needs another shot at the main title, and I just don't know why they keep burying the poor girl. That's just me.
I think I'd have to look at like who's in. I think that Zoe Stark probably should be in the match, but I don't think it should be at the expense of Liv Morgan.
No.
Because I mean, honestly, if Zoe made it in the match, she would be one of the clear people that like, well, she's not winning this.
Yeah.
And
everybody in this Elimination Chamber match, sorry to keep cutting you off, but has a viable chance of winning.
Yep, I totally agree.
Even though we all know it's going to be Becky Lynch.
Yeah.
We all know.
I mean, they're doing a lot of storytelling, and I guess that's one of the upcoming segments. I won't talk about it too much now, but yeah, I feel like they're doing a lot of extreme foreshadowing for who's going to win these Elimination Chamber matches. And I don't think the match between Liv Morgan and Zoe Starks was bad. Excuse me, but I feel like with all of these matches, and there's another notable example later with LA Knight, but
yeah,
just looking at it, I feel like for both Raw and SmackDown, I could have skipped the week and jumped into next week, and I would have missed nothing storyline wise. Because like when this was announced, if you told me like Liv Morgan was facing Zoe Stark to get in, I know who's getting in. LA Knight versus Ivar, like I know who's getting in.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like that's my criticism with this week as a whole. The wrestling was good. I think Liv Morgan and Zoe Stark did fine for what they were asked to do. They went out there, they had a solid match, but yeah, I don't know, like there was no suspense, I guess, and that's not their fault. So Forbes gave it a C. It
deserves a little bit higher than that. Come on, Forbes.
I was gonna say C minus. That's probably where I would put it.
It was very impressive, but it could just be that I love both of them so much.
I would like in terms of the actual match, I would agree with you in terms of, I don't know, kind of.
If we're factoring in just wrestling, it was a B minus. If we're factoring in the fact, did they tell a story with this match? It's all the way down in F tier because it was not a storytelling match, and I think you don't really need those two to tell a story. But like you said, this stuff has been very predictable, and we'll talk about it when we get to SmackDown because I want to close the show with our Elimination Chamber predictions because Elimination Chamber is this Saturday, so we'll get into that when the show's about to end. But yeah, man, it was just very predictable, and I think it earns a little bit just because of how good they are and how good they impressed me because I'm not a fan of women's wrestling. It deserves a B minus for me. But, that's the great thing about wrestling. Everybody has their own opinion.
Exactly. Okay, so next up, I watch on Hulu, as I've stated before. This segment did not make the cut on Hulu. JD McDonough defeated R-Truth. So if it's okay with you, I'll just read the synopsis of what happened here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so according to Forbes, backstage, Damian Priest emphasized that R-Truth was not in the Judgment Day and warned R-Truth that tonight would be an execution of truth. McDonough received more heat than usual as fans continue to be mad at the Judgment Day for excluding Truth. Truth attempted to call for backup as his music was playing, but Raw GM Adam Pearce ordered him to go to the ring. Truth ultimately lost to McDonough, but the execution was halted by DIY. They gave it a C+. I can't agree or disagree. I didn't see it, unfortunately. I'm kind of surprised that a Truth segment got cut, but yeah.
So this stuff was gold. We said last week, like it felt like R-Truth was just there to be put there. This was pure gold, which R-Truth is capable of delivering every time he is on screen. But this stuff was pure gold. The only thing that didn't make sense to me is why in the entire absolute hell did DIY come out and not Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate? Makes zero sense. Yeah. Because we are getting Tyler Bate. Almost said Tyler Dunne. Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne versus Finn Balor and Damian Priest at Elimination Chamber. So why in the hell would you have DIY come out? And then we're going to get next week on Raw, we'll have DIY versus Dom and JD. Why? I don't know. But that's the only thing that didn't make sense to me.
Did it doesn't say here.
It just did not make sense.
Did Truth lose clean, or like was there interference or distraction or?
Honestly, man, I don't remember, and
Okay.
that's another thing I want to talk about this match. It was gold. The stuff leading up to the match was gold. Like R-Truth backstage calling Miz and leaving a voice message, and then through the match, he's like, "Did the Miz call me yet? Did Miz call me yet?"
Okay.
And Cole's like, "I don't know what you're talking about." Like, no, he didn't call you. That stuff was gold. But in terms of memorability of this match, I do not have any recollection of what the hell happened.
Okay. So I'll have to go back and see if I can find this match. I do hope when it goes to Netflix that they don't, like, I'd be fine with cutting out commercials, but man, there's some stuff that like you really wonder like how that ended up on the cutting room floor and other things didn't. So Forbes gave this a C+. I have no frame of reference, so I can't argue with that.
I don't either. If it was probably the weakest match of the show from what I remember, but
yeah,
I honestly couldn't tell you guys what happened in it.
Yeah.
So, I honestly forgot it happened until you said something, and then I was like, "Oh yeah, I remember that this happened."
Got it. So, like this next segment is kind of like this next segment. Nia Jax confronts. Well, so it starts with Becky Lynch coming to the ring. But I feel like this next segment did nothing to advance the story. It just kind of was a repeat. So yeah, essentially Becky. Sorry, say again.
Gross. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off. But no, nothing that Nia Jax does progresses anything that she is in. That woman is now, I will say her in-ring work has gotten 10 times better than what it was. I will say that about the woman, but never put a fucking microphone in her hand again, for Christ's sakes. This was the worst segment in WWE Raw history, in my opinion. It was one of the worst things I've ever seen.
I don't know if this is the worst segment in the last like 3 weeks. There was some.
There was one moment in there that really ticked me off. But go ahead.
I don't remember like who it was. Like we talked about it on the last podcast, but you said like don't ever give her a microphone again. It wasn't Nia Jax. I forget who it was. Morgan. Wasn't it Shayna Baszler?
Yeah, it was both Shayna Baszler and Liv Morgan. Remember they had that backstage segment?
Yeah.
Don't ever give those two microphones again. And don't give Nia Jax a microphone again.
Yeah, so send him
back to NXT to do promo class. Either one.
So to give you guys like a 10-second synopsis on what happened, Becky Lynch comes out. She talks about being obsessed and in love with wrestling to the point that she's missed birthdays, she's missed funerals, she's essentially put a lot of things in life on the back burner. And she said to answer questions like why Daddy's fighting Maui from Moana, things like that. But she essentially ended on saying that she was going to win the Elimination Chamber and was going to go on to beat Rhea Ripley. Nia Jax came out. She essentially complimented Becky Lynch on parenting skills, and then all of a sudden Rhea Ripley's music hit, and Ripley and Nia Jax went back and forth a bit. I think it ended with not Nia. I think Nia knocked Rhea Ripley down, and then Becky Lynch did like a drop kick off the top rope, and then so Nia or Rhea and Becky were doing a stare down at the end.
So and there's one awkward.
It wasn't. Go ahead.
There's one awkward part about this segment that really just made me want to throw up. When she was complimenting her on her parenting skills, she did like this fake crying thing.
Yeah.
And it was god awful. It was so terrible. I remember looking at my girlfriend who was here at the time. Or I don't know if she was here at the time or not, but I remember looking at something and just being like, what in the entire – I don't cuss a lot, but I was like, what in the entire fuck was that?
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing? And I can't really blame Nia Jax for that, I guess. I guess I can blame the writing team. But Jesus Christ, this was awful. It was a drag to get through, even though it was only like 3 minutes long. It felt like an eternity long.
Yeah.
I just don't think Nia Jax needs to be put a microphone in her hand. She's impressed me a lot in her in-ring work. She's really improved a lot on that aspect of it. But she's still my least liked person in all of professional wrestling. And this segment didn't do anything to change that. So
Yeah, I don't know. This segment just, again, it's a theme. I don't think it did anything to like move the story forward. It's
not
kind
one
of
bit.
they're for the last few weeks, basically, they've heavily been brushing Becky up against Rhea. They're not ready for that match until WrestleMania. So Nia is the challenge in front of Rhea right now. And, so Nia is kind of like, well, what about me? Like, I'm in front of you right now. And we just
why
kind of
the hell
end
would
in
we
like
take it serious?
this weird like love triangle between the three.
Mm-hmm. And another thing I just thought about, and I'm sorry to go off topic, but if we're having a tag match, we're going to have both our top champions plus pretty much all 4 guys that are top of the company right now pulling double duty other than Drew McIntyre if he wins the chamber. That makes zero sense now that I sit here and think about it even more and more.
Yeah.
What? Okay, so I don't think we're going to have a tag match, or if we are, then that's just shitty booking. But good gosh, back to Nia Jax. Like I said, that was just terrible stuff.
Yeah,
and it didn't to make either person involved look any more dominant or impactful than they already did. So
here's my big beef with the segment, and it's not necessarily on any of the women in it. I know they're selling, what they're supposed to sell, but man, like, so I've been watching with my wife, and my wife recently asked me like, well, who's your favorite guy? And I'm like, well, Finn Balor. He's one of the tag team champions. And she said, well, where's he been? And then I realized, like,
exactly.
oh yeah, in the 3 weeks we watched, like, I have not seen Finn Balor on TV.
No,
And like, and we have, and we have this shit. We have like some of these qualifying matches are just god awful. Some of these segments are just god awful, and they again don't do anything to move the story forward. So, I mean, it's one thing if you like, oh god, everybody's hurt, everybody's gone. Like we gotta fill time. There's so much talent that they can't get everybody on the card.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's one of the like. Balor and Damian Priest are the unified tag team champions, and we can't.
In-ring performer WWE has had in the last 10 years. I said it, and I'm not taking it back. He is the best
no argument
professional wrestler they have had in that company in the last, I would say, even 20 years. To be honest with you, the dude could work a broomstick and have a 7-star match. He is the epitome of everything a professional wrestler needs to be. And somebody said in our comments the other day that we were riding Finn Balor's meat pretty hard. Say what you want.
Is that on the YouTube channel?
Yes.
Okay, I'll have to go back and look.
TikTok left the comment because he did say not meat. He said the other word that I won't say here. But the dude needs to be champion of the universe. And the fact that the dude is not on TV, the fact that your lovely wife has not got a chance to see that specimen of a man who has been carved out of granite on her television is a travesty.
Definitely.
It is a crime against humanity, and it needs to be fixed.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie. Finn Balor is my favorite. I make no effort in hiding that. But man, like look at what's been on the card tonight, and tell me that like he does not deserve to be on there. And I will say, whoever's in the comments, like, get out of your mom's basement. Like, you're full of shit.
Yeah.
Sorry. Real talk.
Anyway. 100%. And I think the people that sit there and complain about everybody's favorite wrestler is the people that sit there and say that people like Bianca Belair don't need a push. Like, shut up. Like people like that, they don't understand wrestling from a wrestling standpoint. They're just in their mom's basement. But continue. I'm sorry. That fired me up.
Same. And like, honestly, to whoever it was that left the comment, like, appreciate you watching it. No, I appreciate you watching the show, man. Like, I've no idea why you waste your time watching a guy like me. Like, you, I can understand. Like, you're entertaining, but So Big ups to the viewers. Next up, we have LA Knight defeating Ivar.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah. Honestly, nobody thought Ivar was gonna win this, but
No. But kudos to Ivar, man. He is phenomenal. Yeah. I think he's proven that he doesn't need to be a tag guy anymore. He is so good. He is so good. And the same thing, like I feel like this is the problem with a lot of tag guys is we have so many people that are talented that are in single like tag teams right now that don't need to be in tag teams. I love the Street Profits so much, but the fact that Montez Ford is still stuck in a tag team and is not in the title picture, like a main event title picture, to me is criminal. People like Johnny Gargano. I love DIY so much. Like I said, I have a burning passion for them. They're probably my favorite tag team of all time, if you want me to be honest about it. But the fact that poor old Johnny Gargano has not won a singles championship on the main roster is beyond absurd, and it needs to be fixed. You need to figure out who belongs in the tag team and who the hell doesn't. Because Ivar has proven that he doesn't need that stupid Viking Raiders bullshit that they've been doing for the last 3 years. Just let the dude go out there and cook.
He is so agile for someone his size. Like, he looks like he should barely be able to walk up the steps. And he's doing shooting star moonsaults, and he's doing like just this crazy stuff like
spinning heel kicks and all this stuff.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah. And I would agree. I mean, there's a lot of people that deserve a run. I'm a little bit of a hypocrite because I do think there's so many people that deserve a run and, deserve titles. But I'm also the first person to say, like, WWE has about 10 times the amount of titles that they should have. I feel like everybody on the roster has a title. We've got like the when I was a kid, it was the Winged Eagle. Here is the Intercontinental, and it was tag team. Yeah, and then occasionally they would like work in. They didn't have women's wrestling all the time, but they did have women's. Yeah, and then they had European, and now it's they've got Logan Paul's, they've got the Intercontinental, they've got Seth's, they've got Romans, they've got I don't know. We've got too many, but everybody deserves it.
Seth Rollins' title design, by the way. I don't think that's talked about enough. That Seth Rollins' title, the World Heavyweight Championship, I grew up with the big gold, man, like the Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes title. The fact that they were able to bring that design back and like add a little new nuance to it, if I had the money, it would have been bought. And I'm glad that I'm not able to manage my own bank account because it would be dangerous. Because that title would be coming home with me. There was a guy at the watch party that had it. I about jumped him just to take it. There was a lot of it, by the way. I just want to bring that up again too. The fact that I don't praise this man enough about how nice to me he was, but the fact that this dude didn't even freaking know me, and here we are doing a podcast, a month later.
Man. Hell yeah, man.
This dude is one of the best human beings I've ever had the pleasure of sitting next to and enjoying wrestling with. And that man does not get enough credit because coming from a dude who has a disability, who doesn't really connect with a lot of people, the fact that I'm sitting here with a dude I met a month ago doing a podcast shows you the beauty of professional wrestling and shows you the beauty of humanity. I don't think that's talked about enough. So kudos to this dude for being such an amazing human being. And, I don't think it's talked about enough about how toxic this wrestling community can be. But there's also beautiful things in wrestling. And I think that's why we all love wrestling is because it has a spot for everybody. And I went off topic there a little bit. It's a thing that I've noticed all throughout this week. It's just so many wrestling fans are such pricks to each other. Just enjoy it, guys, and love it together.
That's the joys of the internet is, anybody has a Twitter and, everybody's got an opinion and they think that if I was only in charge of booking, I would fix everything. Myself included, by the way. Every show I say, oh, Balor, Owens, and Zayn should be on top.
Maybe that should be like our
people out there that disagree with me, but
maybe that could be like our WrestleMania weekend. WrestleMania weekend show. Maybe we could book our own WrestleMania.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That would be cool.
I'm down.
Hell yeah, man! Let's do that. Let's work that into the show somehow.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, LA Knight versus Ivar. It gave it a B. Forbes gave it a B. I thought the in-ring stuff was pretty good. I think was there like one I'm trying to remember. There was one match that I saw. No, it was on SmackDown, I think, that had like a couple pretty bad botches in it. But yeah, I thought this match was pretty good. I thought that AJ Styles would get involved in this match somehow.
Yeah, me too. That's what makes me angry. Is this makes no sense now? Unless he's probably going to screw him out of the chamber, and then we're probably going to get maybe him and AJ at Mania, which I thought for the longest time he would take the U.S. title off the greatest United States champion of all time, Logan Paul. But I really thought that he would take it off of him, and it doesn't look like they're going that direction, which makes no sense to me. But hey, it's not my company. But yeah, this match was fine, man. It was a B. They in ring work was. I don't think it furthered anything because they weren't involved in any story. But just try not to make the guy who's going to win look so obvious all the time. Is my one gripe.
Sure.
Yep.
So yeah, last match of the card. Shinsuke Nakamura defeated Sami Zayn. I'm a little confused as to like why they had this match. During the show they cut to like Sami Zayn was sitting in the empty audience, getting interviewed pre-show. He's been doing a lot of talking about building his coming back from his failures, I guess maybe would be a good way to put it.
Yeah.
And Sammy's been rubbing up against Cody a little bit. So during that interview he was doing, it cut to Shinsuke, and to sum it up, Shinsuke basically said, well, you're friends with Cody, so I'm coming after you too. That's essentially how I took it.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't for like a qualifying, they're Sammy's already eliminated from that, but man, I don't know. It's just weird to me. Like, you could not find 5 better in-ring workers, I think, on the planet than these two.
No.
And the match was great, like in the ring. I just storyline wise, it's like that's the main event. Like, that's kind of weird.
Kind of makes no sense. Kind of like the bull rope stipulation last week. But
I at least got the parallels to that. But yeah, it was just awkward to me that this was.
But this was the best match of the night in terms of in-ring work. And I watched this one very closely. I mean, I was in the bed while watching it because it was like the 3rd hour Raw, and I was exhausted. But
Sure.
Man, Sami Zayn is really good. And I think I noticed it this week. This dude, the fact that this poor man hasn't got a world title opportunity or won the world title yet is beyond me. I really don't understand why. This dude connects with the audience on a different level.
It's because we have Roman holding the belt for 4 years, pal. There's not a lot of room for it to move around.
I acknowledge my tribal chief, but we got to do something with this coming Mania. But Jesus Lord. But yeah, this was match of the night for me. I give it an A+. This was a really, really great match in terms of in-ring stuff. Storyline-wise, I'm with you. Didn't make dog shit of sense. But I'm glad they let those two go out there and cook because they needed to go out there and cook.
Yeah. I think I mean, at this point Roman's had the title longer than Biden's been in office, not making political commentary, but damn, like it's time for Roman to hand it off.
It's time for the tribal chief to go back and sit at the table and let somebody else have the reins for a minute.
It's past time. So yeah, that was Raw. Again, I feel like there wasn't a lot to not a lot of storylines progressed. There is 50 days to WrestleMania, but I felt like for how fast things had been moving since I guess since we were doing this podcast, you had the press conference, which moves things a lot. And then I think the following week things seemed to move a lot, but man, I feel like this didn't do much. So I would give the show like a C-.
Yeah, I'm right up there with you. It was really good. Like, it was one of the more enjoyable episodes of Raw that I've seen last month. But in terms of progression and storyline wise, it made no progressions anywhere. Other than the Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins stuff, I thought that did a pretty good job. But okay, all right. But yeah, right up there, I would give it a C+. I'd give it a little boost up just because of how good that main event was.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay, so I will be totally honest. I did not watch any NXT, so I can read through the results.
And I didn't.
You
I'm
can
gonna be honest too, but I didn't watch this week either. But I want to talk about it because a lot of you guys I feel like watching NXT, and I'm gonna try to start watching it more. But let's see what happened this week, and I'll give my thoughts just on how I know those guys work. So
Fair. Okay. So I do not watch NXT, and I will have to start. So I will probably butcher some of these names, but so the opening match, Noam Dar and Oro Mensa defeated Von Wagner and Mr. Stone.
yeah, this is just Von Wagner, of course, is a monster, and I think he's just been booked as well. But like, this was a nothing tag match. I mean, the build has sucked from it. I didn't watch it, of course, but I can tell you right now, this was not entertaining. Probably. I mean, Robert Stone's pretty good, but this is probably a nothing match. It's an opener for a reason. So, yeah,
Sure.
that's all I have to say about that.
Okay. Next up, we have Ridge Holland defeating Gallus via DQ in a gauntlet match.
Nothing to say about that at all.
Okay. Next we have Lola Vice defeating Tatum Paxley.
Dude, Lola Vice is the next coming of perfection in women's wrestling. I think she's great. I think her not cashing in her breakout contract successfully kind of hurt her a little bit, but she's great. Can't wait to see more things from her.
Is that like the NXT Money in the Bank? Almost.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Next up we have Jada Parker defeats Adriana Rizzo.
I do not know. I know Jada Parker, but don't know the other one. Again, I'm going to start watching this coming week, so I'll be a little bit more versed. But in terms of that,
Sure.
it's just Jada. It's a Jada Parker showcase because she is the next Bianca Belair. So
nice. I apologize, everybody. I should watch this. I just I've been trying to watch with my wife. We have 2 kids with special needs. It's been hard to find time in our schedule. So getting back into wrestling, but hopefully we'll find my way to NXT pretty soon. Next up, Carmelo Hayes defeats Joe Gacy.
I will sing the praises of Carmelo Hayes until my lungs give out. This man needs to be main roster ready immediately. He is the best thing other than Finn Balor WWE has. I adore Carmelo Hayes, even though he's a piece of shit for turning on Trick Williams. He broke my heart, y'all. They were the best thing on NXT television for the longest time. And I feel like it was a heel turn that we all saw coming. We all knew it was coming, right? But it was one of those things. It was kind of like the Shield back in 2014, right?
Sure.
Like, we all knew it had to come eventually.
Yeah.
We didn't want to see it happen. And I remember watching what was it, Vengeance Day? And that's when he turned on him. And I was like, oh my God, no. Like my heart was broke, but I was also so excited because now I understand where this story is going to go, and they're going to get that Stand and Deliver main event, hopefully for the NXT Championship, because those two earned that. And I cannot wait to see it. And I love both of them so much. And this story has broken my heart, but I love it so much. Carmelo Hayes as a heel is really good, and I can't wait to see Trick.
I think Carmelo and Braun Breaker are pretty much I feel like when NXT guys show up on the main roster stuff, it's usually those two. So I feel like they're about ready to smash
into we'll get to it when we get to it, but Braun signed his main roster contract. So I'm very excited to see that guy on the main roster.
Absolutely. Next up, we have Kiana James defeats Brindley Reese.
Nothing to say. Kiana James gets on my nerves. Nothing to say at all.
All right. And then in the main event match, we have Braun Breaker and Baron Corbin defeating Tony D'Angelo and Stax to win the NXT Tag Team titles.
Bro, let me tell you something about Baron Corbin that nobody talks about. That motherfucker is good.
He's a lot better than the jobbing that he's gotten.
So good. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, if you give him the proper gimmick, that dude deserves a world title. Just because of how much bullshit he has had to go through.
Yeah.
And the fact that he still is in NXT after being with the company almost 10 years at this standpoint, and it's producing match after match after match, whether it's in a shitty tag team with Braun Breaker or not. The dude needs to be given all his praises. Braun Breaker's phenomenal. The family, D'Angelo and Stacks, are so good. I did watch this. I did go back and watch this. This was really good. 4 out of 5 stars for me. I think having the Wolf Dogs win their first tag team championship, although him going up to the main roster, it kind of made no sense because I just don't want him to have to bounce back and forth. I want him to focus on main roster stuff for Braun Breaker. But I thought this was a great decision in terms of who should win, and can't wait to see where they go next with it.
Yeah. I mean, we're 50 minutes in, and I think we've said about 10 different people deserve a world title shot at this point.
Yeah,
so.
And it's sad, but it's true.
It is. Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I think there's so much talent that I mean, like when I was growing up, there was WCW and WWF, later WWE, and there was enough to kind of like spread it around. But yeah, having people hold it for so long, it's not a lot you can do. Yeah, so I don't have any closing thoughts on NXT. Obviously, I didn't watch it. I don't know the people, so yeah.
I just wanted to talk about it because I'll start watching it. So be expecting a more in-depth review of NXT next week. I
will do my best to learn a little bit more about it as we go on. I'm just here to feed for you. That's my job on the show.
He's my
So jumping into Friday Night SmackDown, opening match, we have Kevin Owens defeating Dominic Mysterio.
What a freaking banger.
Sorry, go ahead.
What a freaking banger, by the way.
There was a couple botches, like Dominic botched an X Factor, and then there was something else that was like really clumsy. And I really enjoy both guys. So I think that they probably would both like a do-over on this one.
Even with the botches, I will say this. I know what you're talking about with those botches. Stuff happens, man. It's live TV. You can't hinder them too much from doing it. But I would argue that this was the best match of the week. Even with the botches.
It was botches in there.
This was for me, this was my match of the week. And I'm gonna say this right now. I want to start giving our superstar of the week. So be expecting that later when you guys see it come up later. It's not gonna be who you expect. But this was great opener. I thought Dominic and Kevin, it was clear who was going to go over, if you want to be honest. But this was a really good opener.
So one thing that I noticed for the first time during this match is with the upcoming release of WWE 2K24, each match's participants were shown their 2K24 ratings. Dominic Mysterio got an 83 and Kevin Owens got an 86. I think in hindsight, every person that won in the match had a higher rating. So I don't know if that was intentional, or not, but that's one thing I noticed.
No, WWE and 2K, it probably wasn't.
Yeah.
But
so
I did, by the way. So I got my pre-order the other day. So be expecting some good stuff come March.
If I pre-ordered it, I would cancel it based on these ratings, because as we're sitting here right now, this is I think have 8 superstars that have been rated. Leading the charge is Rhea Ripley at 96, which I think makes all the sense in the world. Yeah. The second one, I think, makes absolutely no sense. You're gonna love it. I hate it. Logan Paul has a 90. I don't think that makes any sense.
He should be rated 99.99.
You should be institutionalized for such a insane take.
I think 90 is in the game.
I think he should be executed, to be honest with you, but there's no planet he should be 90. I don't know. There's no way.
I'm the biggest Logan Paul supporter. This dude does not deserve a 90 overall. An 80, maybe an 85. I would have gave him an 85 overall.
Yeah, I think 85 is fair. I think he's a great in-ring performer. I think his mic skills are pretty good.
They're pretty dang good.
I think he's much better as like a YouTube talk show kind of he nails all his points. Sometimes I just feel like the inflection and the energy is a little bit off. But yeah, I can't say, like, I'm trying to think of like who would get like, I would put like LA Knight at probably a 90.
Yeah. 90, 91 for LA Knight.
Yeah, somewhere like that. I just feel
Like
like
I
90 is
said,
a little,
yeah,
yeah.
just a little too high for
That's
my boy, and I love him so
that's
much.
that's a that's a bit much.
Just a bit
Ranked
much.
third, we have Kevin Owens at an 86.
I don't
I
think
think
he
that's
should be
about
ranked
right for
third.
Kevin Owens.
No,
You don't think what?
no, I don't think he should be ranked third at all. I think he should be like an 80, 82. Uh,
Really?
Now, if we're basing his tag team work, then absolutely he deserves to be up there. But like, he really hasn't done anything over the year, man, other than win the tag titles at Mania. And I'm
Yeah,
a big
okay,
supporter of the 2K games. They're my biggest,
so let me
content wise of the YouTube of the year. So this really affects me in terms of universe mode. I don't know where I'm going to put him, but we got to figure out something to do with him because I mean,
so let me
obviously 2K. Go ahead. Sorry.
let me jump to the bottom of the ratings to give you some
Mhm.
context on why I don't think Kevin Owens should be an 80. I know these are women, but so rounding at the bottom of the rankings, we have Alba Fire and Zelina Vega both have 74. I know we're comparing men to women, but like there's no planet like where Kevin Owens main evented WrestleMania last year.
Yeah.
And Tiffany Stratton as a 79. So I feel like mid 80s is about right
Why
for Kevin.
the hell? Yeah.
That's, man, if
For
you
me,
go
I
back
gotta
and
put
look at like the worst
Stratton
person on
high.
the roster, like the worst person on the roster is usually like low 70s.
Yeah.
I don't know.
First of all, the fact that Tiffany Stratton is 79 is a little bit criminal. I would have put her in mid 80s, to be honest with you. She's really good, and I think she's popular enough to be mid 80s. Poor Selena Vega, like she deserves a little bit higher than that too. Fire, I understand it's kind of like her second game, I believe, and she really
Yeah.
hasn't done shit this past year. So, you know, I mean, I have nothing to say about the other ratings other than, I think Kevin Owens is just a tad bit high, but that's just me.
I don't know. I feel like he should be like, if I like, before I looked at this, I felt like Kevin Owens should have gotten probably about like an 87. I would say, and I know I'm a Finn Balor homer, but like I would put Finn Balor at like an 80. If I had to guess, I would say he's gonna get like a 82, 83 in this game. Because like
Which
he's got
is,
all the talent in the world. He's a tag team champion, but he's done nothing single wise. And when Judgment Day lose, it's usually Balor taking the like eating the pin.
yeah,
So I think that's probably about where he's gonna go.
yeah.
Dirty Dom is at 83. I would have
Put that
thought he's
man to an 85.
88.
Put him to an 85, 86.
I
Jesus.
mean, I think we're splitting hairs a little bit. I think anywhere between 81 and 85 is okay. But again, if I'm putting,
I respect the stuff he did in NXT with North American Championship because if we're factoring in that 2K, man deserves to be a little bit higher than an 83. I mean, he kind of carried
we're
NXT.
talking, but we're talking like NXT is like I mean, real or not, NXT is portrayed as a developmental, and
And it shouldn't be better.
Dom and McDonough are sent out as like the JV squad to take people on before they get a chance to take on Balor and Priest. So
Yeah.
I mean, if Dominic's an 83, I don't know how you put Balor lower than that. Maybe. I mean,
No,
I'm not the one
you
making
don't.
the rankings, but I can't see him being much high, like maybe an 84, but I can't see him getting into Kevin Owens territory in this game for where they're
Yeah.
at right now.
We'll have to see how the cookie crumbles. But yeah, I'm very excited about the 2K entry this year, bringing back special guest referee. Be expecting a lot of special guest referee matches over on Twitch. So I'm very excited about the release. I do think the ratings are a little bit iffy, but that's with every 2K game. Everybody has their different opinions about 2K's
I mean,
ratings.
when the range is, I'm gonna have to assume that the range is gonna be probably like 97, 98 for the top person, and
Roman
probably
is going to be
71.
Roman Reigns
I
will
don't
be
know.
put at
I feel like even when Lesnar was running through people, he was 98. Like even after he like ended the streak.
Roman had a 99 last year.
Did he? Okay.
Had
He
99
he very
overall
he
last
very
year.
well might. But I mean,
And I
like
feel like
when you have to fit the entire roster between like 68 and 99, I mean it's going to be a little bit of like splitting hairs. It's going to be who's hot at the moment, and probably a little bit of bias for whoever's doing them at 2K too. You know,
yeah.
I mean, the only person on here that got a rating that we didn't mention previously is the Miz is at an 81. Criminally underrated.
Yeah, he's a very hard spot to put though, based on his work this past year. Because the poor dude hasn't really done much.
Yep.
81 is a little low for Miz for me, but
Yeah.
you know, I mean, the dude just gets thrown around like a sack of potatoes all over the place. So you know,
I
it's
feel
not
like
really.
I feel like the current Miz is almost like, this is probably going to be a terrible comparison, but like when I was coming up, it was like X-Pac was always kind of like the top of the mid card, you know, like always had really solid matches, like was pretty good on the mic. Miz obviously has, you know, defeated Cena at WrestleMania for the World Championship. Like, so I mean, Miz has reached higher heights, but I feel like this is kind of about where Miz is gonna be.
Yeah, this might be the lowest point of his career, honestly, too.
Yeah, and I mean, it's sad, but
yeah, the dude. Every time the dude's on TV, like I want to pay attention because he was like my peak of my wrestling. I started watching in 07, but like my peak of my wrestling fandom was 2011, 2012. So I grew up with peak heel Miz, like peak Money in the Bank winning Miz. So for me to say that this guy is at the lowest point of his career hurts my soul because I grew up with the best version of the Miz.
yeah.
But I think it wouldn't surprise me if he doesn't retire in the next 4 years. I think he's on his way out of the door, and it hurts my heart.
I think the Miz is the best. I don't know exactly how to say this, but Miz is like maybe the most versatile. Where, you know, like you can have him on the pre-show and he's awesome. You can have him doing commentary, doing appearances, like, you know, he's very good in the ring. Like when they bring in like celebrities, like you know, like Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg did something with Miz. You know, like he's
Really good stuff.
yeah, he's not like the headliner of WrestleMania, but you can put him in any position and he's gonna be very solid, like B plus, A minus. You know, and if somebody gave him another main event run eventually, I don't think anybody would like, you know, scoff at it. He's put in the work,
No.
he deserves it. Yeah. But
So he's like he falls in the same category as Ziggler for me.
yeah.
I know we need to move forward because we're already an hour in, but the fact that Dolph Ziggler had to leave and he's doing great things. I don't know if you've caught up with him in TNA, but he is doing some wonderful stuff and he's an amazing human being. I have went back and forth with him in DMs and Twitter. He is an amazing human being, and
that's awesome.
The fact that this man is had to leave just to show the world how fucking good he is a travesty. Yeah. And I love you, Nick, and I hope you come back soon, bud, because good God, you are the most comparable I could bring him to, and I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for this. He is this generation's Shawn Michaels.
I've heard that a lot. A lot. Like, very, very good in-ring performer. Probably the best at selling that I can remember in the last 10 years.
The best seller in the business. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I think they know that too, because, you know, when Edge ran in and did his return at the Royal Rumble 3 years ago or whatever that was, first person to take a spear, Ziggler.
Yep.
You know, yeah, just he always made was kind of that guy. Yeah, which is amazing.
And I have a burning hatred for Bill Goldberg. I never want to see that piece of human trash. And yes, I will say this very loosely. He is a piece of garbage human being. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go look at his WWE 365 where they went over his streak or his WWE 24 episode. He is such a cocky piece of shit. And I can't stand the dude. And it could be because he buried the Fiend's career. But Jesus Christ, I cannot stand that dude. And for me to say that he made Bill Goldberg look good says something about the guy who took his spear.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Goldberg has always struck me as somebody who's like you can tell he didn't grow up loving wrestling the way that
No,
like we do, the way that like so many people do.
I
And
don't
yeah,
even think throughout his career he fell in love with wrestling. I think Bill
no.
Goldberg saw wrestling as a money grab, and he
Oh,
still does
definitely. I mean,
because he wasn't good
and
enough at
I know,
football, and wrestling was his next way out. He never loved wrestling. He never does love wrestling. Never did. Never will. Um,
Yep.
Bill Goldberg is a self-centered piece of garbage. Um,
Yep.
and I will say it to the rooftops. I do not like him as a person, as a human being, almost on the level of hatred for Logan Paul that this man right here has. I
Yeah,
despise the man.
I hate Goldberg's wrestling career. Like I don't think Bill Goldberg throws puppies into a furnace on his time off. I think I think Logan Paul's a pretty shit human being, to be honest with you. But I mean, and yeah, okay, like it's the Cody thing. Everybody take a shot when he mentions, Owens, Balor, or Sami Zayn. But yeah, having Goldberg show up like spear and jackhammer Owens and like end his world title run in
Was
30
a
seconds, like
yeah,
that's
was the
stupid.
worst thing of all
Stupid.
time. And
But
what he did to the Fiend will be unforgettable for as long as I live.
yeah,
Crown Jewel 2019 or no 2020. I think it was Crown Jewel 2020 or 2019. Either one, I don't remember because I try to forget it. They built the Fiend, and we will move on, I promise. But they built the Fiend up as this amazing, unstoppable, unbeatable,
paranormal, out of this
force.
world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Bill Goldberg beats him within 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Are you shitting me?
They never would have had the Undertaker lose clean like that coming up. You would have had to shoot the Undertaker with a tank.
Yeah. Like it makes me so angry. And not to mention he almost killed the Undertaker because his stupid, ignorant ass still does his stupid pre-match ritual where he bangs his head off a freaking metal door, you idiot.
When people want to be mad at me for like being upset about The Rock coming back and doing the main event, like when The Rock came back probably 10, 12 years ago and fought Cena, like their match was a lot of resting, a lot of rest holds because like The Rock was old to go then. Yeah. Like now it's just getting to the point like you can't bring these guys back and continue to bury the younger people and expect it to ever do anything good. So that's my last. If you want to say anything else, I mean, we originally started talking about Owens and Dominic Mysterio.
Let's continue. We got a topic there. I apologize, guys, but Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Yep. So they gave that match a B. I would say a C plus, knowing what these guys are capable of and like knowing there's a couple botches in here. I wish they could run that one back.
Factor in the botches, I'd give it a C. C plus.
Fair. Yeah, next up, a women's Elimination Chamber qualifying match. We have Tiffany Stratton defeating Zelina Vega. We talked about it before, but man, like Zelina Vega is one person that I really feel for too. And I don't want to turn this podcast into like, oh, the people I don't like or the people I like aren't winning, so like I'm gonna cry for an hour.
Yeah,
I mean, on a personal level, I mean, like, I will forever feel for her because her dad, her dad passed away in 9/11, and in one of the I think it was like a 9/11 tribute show, like they ran over on time on a segment. She had like this patriotic outfit. She didn't get to make air on that. Like, and she seems like a very cool person. I love her, cosplay she does, like coming out in the Rumble dressed as like a Gundam or whatever. Like the anime people crucify me for that. I don't know what it is, but she seems like a person that loves it and is having fun with it. And she's really married to Aleister Black, so hope she eventually gets something.
Talent, man. And I remember that when I read that they ran over time, so she didn't get to pay tribute to her dad. Bullshit. I don't care if we ran an hour over time. Let that poor girl go out there. She is a phenomenal talent too. I think she's another person. I hate to beat it to death, but man, please give her a world title at some point. Even if it's just for like a little like, oh yeah, she won the title, let's cash in the Money in the Bank on her. She's worked her poor ass off from NXT being Andrade's manager to now being in LWO. She's has a good match every time she's in the ring. I really enjoy her work, and she seems like an even better human being. And the fact that she's married to one of the best independent wrestlers, well, not independent, but he signed to AEW, but one of the best wrestlers in the world, speaks to that. So, I feel bad for her, like you. I feel really bad for Zelina Vega.
We're gonna have to make a blood oath in the next episode and the remainder of this one. We're not gonna complain about anybody else getting jobbed out because
Yes, we have
this
to,
is
because we're
the
going to
jobbed
get
out
crucified
podcast.
on Twitter.
I'm mad at us honestly for how this has gone. I can't imagine how the listeners would feel. Yeah, so they gave it a C. This is probably maybe one of the tougher women's matches to call. Like I was pretty sure Stratton was going to get in, but it wasn't like as
well. It wasn't
one-sided.
tough for me to call because, like I said, Tiffany Stratton. I've seen her all of her NXT run. I knew she was going to get in there. I think she's the next. She's going to be the next Becky Lynch in terms of being shot straight up to the main event.
Cool.
It's because she's aesthetically pleasing to look at. I hate to say that, but that's one of the main factors about her is she's just really, 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 really freaking hot. And she's very talented too. I'm not going to say that she's not. So this wasn't hard for me to call. It was a really good match. I really enjoyed it. It was a little quick. It was really quick for me. It went by pretty quick, but yeah, pretty good stuff.
Nice. So I think this was cut out on Hulu. Authors of Pain defeated local competitors.
Yeah, it was a nothing match. It was a squash match to make them look dominant.
Okay. Yeah, so they gave that a C. There was a promo where Damage Control cut a heel promo in Japanese on both Bailey and Dakota Kai. Yeah, even in their like synopsis here, it goes from that to saying with so many big stars packed on the show, WWE could afford the local competitors. Squashed by AOP. The Final Testament debuted a new terrible logo, but at least AOP was kept strong with a dominant victory. Yeah. So it's like it briefly mentions like the heel promo. But yeah, I don't know. It did
because it was nothing.
Yeah.
I'm not big. I know this is probably gonna come off as racist because I know how the internet is, but like when you have a group of Japanese performers that can't speak English very well, don't give them a microphone. Don't, because like it's not their fault either. Like if they can't speak English that well, like don't give them a microphone to speak English. It's just common sense.
I'm not completely on board. Like I thought I mean like Shinsuke does really well with like what he does. But someone just walked by.
Oh yeah, we had a blooper. She went to grab something and the whole damn thing fell apart.
Oh, all good. Yeah, for me it was just again, I feel like they tried to like the week of the press conference, I feel like they tried to tell every storyline and like now they got nothing to move forward with. I would have rathered it was like 1 week you do a big advancement in one, another week you do a big like so each week you're getting something. But yeah, I feel like we spent our allowance and now we're just kind of riding for a while.
Yeah. This was nothing to progress the story, which sucks because they did such a good job last week. This was bullshit. So.
Logan Paul defeated The Miz. Yeah, again, like Logan Paul is really clean with the things that he does. There was a lot of back and forth. Logan's buddy gave him the brass knucks again.
Me personally, I didn't see that, but that that could have just been me. I don't know. I knew that Miz had it at some point, but I didn't see. Maybe my lines got crossed. Maybe I was doing something, but I didn't see Logan grab the brass knuckle.
Yeah, man, I don't know. I think you were maybe I can't even think of anything funny to say.
I do have a criticism with Logan Paul, and it's not something that you will hear give a lot.
Go for it.
I'm him trying to call his spots, or you can tell that like he is like I don't think he's at this stage in his career. He's phenomenal, but in terms of him not being able to call a match, I don't think he could call a match on the fly. I think he has to have somebody in there that can call the spots for him because it's so loud. Like when Miz had him in the corner and he was like propping his leg up, you could tell that like Logan knew what was supposed to happen, but he was like moving too fast for Miz. So Miz said, slow down. And then he put his leg, like it was so loud. And that was my one gripe with this match is this was probably the most clunky that Logan's looked in the ring. Which then again, it is his SmackDown debut. So maybe he was shitting bricks. but it was just very clunky, and I don't think they worked well together.
Yeah, I think maybe some of that calling that might that'll probably come as like he gets more. I mean, because really, he wasn't in developmental. He jumped right into it. He went from being a
And the fact
celebrity
that this
boxer
dude
to
is that good just for being able to jump in after like a WrestleMania match, and now he's like full time. He's said it multiple times that he wants to make this his full time career. He's done with boxing. He doesn't want to make boxing his full time career. He said it last week on
he
Impulsive
can't.
that this is what
I
he wants to
mean,
do for the rest of his life. So
you lose like it. He's not his
yeah,
brother. Like
well, he
you
can't
go
really kind of
you
do it.
go
Without
oh
things.
you go 0-1-1 against KSI, and like
No.
you're not competing for a world title. Like
Yeah, no. But the fact that the kid wants to make it his career and he's willing to give it time, I think he's going to be a future world champion in the next 5 years. So, but I just didn't like how clunky this match felt to me.
yeah, maybe I'm trying to be more open minded and not just seeing him as like the douchebag from YouTube and
Don't look
crypto
at it as the dude
scamming
that
and
screwed you over. Look at it as a professional wrestler. Don't look at it as the dude that screwed you over because he did get screwed over.
he didn't screw me over, but I do think he's like a shit human being. I feel like
Yeah,
every time he's out, he's peddling. If he's not peddling crypto, he's peddling Prime, or he's peddling, whatever, some kind of grift. That's me
yeah,
personally. All that crypto stuff is alleged. I don't, but there's enough out there for me to raise my eyebrows. But yeah, very, very clean in the ring is Logan Paul.
yeah.
He advances to the Elimination Chamber.
Which I said this happened last week. And as soon
Yeah.
as Kevin Owens won, you know that Logan was going to win his match.
I thought it was pretty likely. Again, I can't say anything's for sure when when AJ Styles doesn't get involved in LA Knight's match.
Yeah, that was a little, that was a little weird. Like we said, that was very strange.
Yep. So now we have our men's Elimination Chamber match set. We have Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton versus Bobby Lashley versus LA Knight, versus Kevin Owens versus Logan Paul of CryptoZoo fame. I guess we can probably do Elimination Chamber predictions at the end, but so that matchup is set in stone.
Really good field.
They gave that match a B. I thought it was better than that. I thought it was probably an A-.
Yeah, probably an A-. I think it was probably it was clunky, but I would honestly give it best match of the night. In my opinion.
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a very high bar to clear, honestly, but yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. But yeah, it was still. I don't know if you feel the same way, and it's okay if you didn't. But it just felt clunky to me, a little bit, a little slow at parts. But it was probably the best match of the night.
Yeah, I think if if KO and Dominic didn't have a couple botches, I think that probably would have been. But yeah, definitely. And I know I said definitely those are 1, 2.
That KO and Dominic were match of the night, but after like having my re-election and be like, oh, this is what happened. The Logan Paul and The Miz probably did put on the best match of the night there.
Yep, agreed. In what might be a bit of a let-up match, I guess maybe that's a controversial take. Naomi defeats Alba Fire to I think now all the Elimination Chamber spots are set for the women. Yeah, this is another one that I kind of thought like there was no mystery for who was going over on this one.
And the thing with me and Naomi, I got to work on not cutting him off. Fuck.
No, you're good.
But the thing with this, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I'm glad she's back. Good for her. But I genuinely don't care about Naomi. I popped at the Rumble because it was like a cool thing. But like, no, this is a nothing match. Nobody cared about who was going to win. Like, and the fact that this was the main event, correct?
This was the main event. There's like one more segment, which is
there's one more segment which we'll get into.
Soft main event. I thought this was interesting. Naomi won via submission.
Yeah,
which I did not entirely expect.
No, but this was probably the weakest match of the night for me. just because it was
Yeah.
so predictable, so we all knew what was going to happen. I felt like, and I just hope that she doesn't get thrown on the card because we have her here now, so let's just throw her in a match. And I
Yeah.
felt like
I mean, sorry, go ahead.
I feel like that's what happened here. Is they're like, oh yeah, we have Naomi back. Let's throw her in the main event.
Yeah, I mean, with elimination chambers having 6 people, like there's always got to be a little bit of a throw in, like throw in someone that's like high value but like not gonna win. Like yeah.
I would have preferred Natalya over her, honestly.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think Natalya would have fit better here than poor Naomi.
See, I think having Naomi come back, like you got to kind of like ride the momentum a little bit.
Yeah.
I think there's an argument to be said that like Natalya deserves it more, but I don't know. I mean, if you're gonna capitalize on the return of Naomi, I think this was the way to go, personally.
Yeah. Mm.
But Forbes gave it a B-. God, I don't even know. I feel like closer to C- for all the reasons you just said.
This is a C-, bro. Like hands down.
Yep. Lastly, I timed this. In Hulu, there was I think 15 minutes left. The segment with The Rock and Reigns returning with the Bloodline. I think if I cut out the entrances of the Bloodline and The Rock, it's probably like 5 minutes of real content. It is like insane how much time, like, I mean, people make a meme about like how slow the Undertaker's entrance was. God damn, like break out a sundial for Roman Reigns' entrance.
Yeah, you could go take a shower, anything, and come back, and Roman would just be ending his entrance.
Yep. And again, I feel like this isn't, Roman basically came out and said, The Rock is in the Bloodline, and The Rock pretty much came out and said, "Yep, I'm in the Bloodline." And again, what did that do? I mean, it cemented what we saw at the press conference where they left together and they're, like, we're family, pal, that kind of thing. But I just feel like for how fast the story is moving, I feel like this did next to nothing. Maybe it was a necessary step and you got 50 days to build it, but I feel like I could have like slept through this whole week, jumped into next week, and I wouldn't have missed anything.
Yeah, I can agree with that in some aspect. I think this did do something to move the story just a tad bit forward, because now we know that Roman Reigns does have somebody watching his back, and it's not just anybody. It's the People's Champ. It's The Rock. It's Hollywood Rock.
Yeah.
He came out in the $5,000 vest, which I popped so hard for, because if you know, back in the Attitude Era, The Rock had a $5,000 shirt, and that was like his skill thing. His $5,000 shirt, his shirt costs more than most of your houses. That was his whole thing. And the fact that this man was able to bring that back in like a new, like upgraded form, I popped. So the little kid in me was like screaming on the inside. I thought his promo was good about calling everybody their inbreds. And I think that having heel Rock cut the promo that he cut, I did feel like the ending of his promo was a little, oh God, we're running over time, so let's just move it along.
Yep.
Was a little bullshit, honestly. You should have gave The Rock a lot more time than just 5 minutes to talk.
Sure.
But
I mean, cut a minute off of Roman and The Rock's entrance. I mean, do a little less like on the ring where you're smelling, a little bit less of that, and you would have been able to finish it. But I agree. I thought there was a spot in there where The Rock said, we've broken the indoor attendance record, not just for Salt Lake City, but the entire state of Utah. And this is the largest gathering of trailer park trash.
Yeah.
I thought that was so, like, heel Rock is so good. It's so good.
And the fact, I had another Colin who I mentioned earlier, who's, I don't think Rock's heel. This dude, we're going to have him on the show one day. This dude's wrestling takes are asinine. Like,
really?
He doesn't like it doesn't get on my nerves. Like, not everybody's been involved in wrestling like I have. Like, I have a very business understanding of professional wrestling, and I'm not being cocky when I say that. That's just I've been around people that have taught me that. And so
Sure.
the fact that he didn't think The Rock was heel yet really pissed me off. And I think it pissed me off to the fact, like, it's right in your face. And the fact is, I don't think he's heel. Are you stupid, sir? Like, can we open your eyes a little bit? The fact that he came out in the Hollywood Rock shirt and everything, that I felt like it just cemented it. Him being on the microphone as Hill Rock is so.
I agree. Like, it was pretty obvious, like, where they were going. However, like, Rock came out thinking back to when Cody gave his spot to The Rock, right? Like, Rock came out and it's like, oh, he's a good guy. Like, he's with Cody. And then Cody takes his spot back, says something about, like, The Rock's family. Rock slaps him, So it's like, I get for people that, don't live and breathe wrestling, how there's a bit of ambiguity there. And I think what they did, if they did one good thing on this, it was to, one, showcase, like, The Rock's, heel pro mobility, which I don't think we've seen, because The Rock has come back, but, like, he's always gotten such a big pop. Yeah. Like, he got such a big pop that, like, when you come back and you have such a huge pop like that, like, you can't be a heel because people are so excited to see you. But there's really not much you can do to, like, even if you talk shit to him, like, people are going nuts.
Yeah, because even as a heel, they're still doing his shit. They're still doing his stick. I don't think that will change. I think even him being a heel, people are going to love The Rock regardless. I've said this multiple times. I don't really like Dwayne Johnson, the person, but The Rock as a wrestler and The Rock as a character, there's nobody better on a microphone other than CM Punk. I think CM Punk gives The Rock a run for his money.
I think so.
Jesus, man, this dude doing the stuff that he's doing. And I'm so glad that he didn't just show up and not show up for 6 weeks. I'm glad that he's actually clearing his schedule for this. So, Dwayne, I give you credit for that, my dude.
Big ups to Dwayne.
I thought this was a great segment. I thought it was a little short, but it did what it was supposed to do.
I would tend to agree. I would like not a ton in terms of, like, moving the story forward, but establishing The Rock is like, okay, yes, he's definitively heel now, if there was a doubt. And, anytime you give The Rock the stick, it's pretty good shit, pal.
Yeah.
So, that is the end of the week. Let's get into some Elimination Chamber predictions. Sound good?
Yep. Go ahead.
So, pulling up the Wikipedia for this, usually there's more matches on a pay-per-view. However, this one there's 4, and going back to last. Yep. Well, but it's also Elimination Chamber matches. So, going back to the Rumble too.
And you have to go back at the Rumble too. When you have a gimmick match,
that's going to be an hour each.
Yeah, they're not going to put a lot of matches on the card. So I think it's a fair amount. I think it'll help it go by faster because I'm going to be one of the idiots getting up at 5 a.m. So yeah.
I will be one of the sensible adults watching it at probably noon.
Yeah.
Match number 1 of 4. The Judgment Day, Finn Balor and Damian Priest defend their tag team championships against the New Catch Republic, which is Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate.
Yes.
I am going to say Judgment Day retains. They're, I think, going to lose at Mania, but they do not lose it here.
Without a doubt. I feel like Judgment Day. And it sucks because I love Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne, man. They're so good as a tag team and so good as singles competitors, but I just don't see Judgment Day losing. I think they drop it at Mania to the Awesome Truth, like we said before. And I think that's clear where this goes. So I'm with you on this.
I think this will probably be 2 consecutive pay-per-view or premium live events. It's not pay-per-view anymore, but I think it'll be 2 consecutive premium live events where I don't see a title change.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
It don't bother me too much.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence a little bit more, but yeah, I mean, putting Logan Paul in the Elimination Chamber match, there's not a lot of room for that.
Yeah, you have to get his viral moment in there, and like I said last week, that's the one way you can, because he's going to do some crazy shit. Logan, he's going to have to do something crazy. So I think it was clear that he was going to be put in this match because other than Kevin Owens, who the hell is going to fight him at Elimination Chamber for the U.S. title?
That's true.
And have it make sense.
That's true.
So, Yeah, I think it's clear that Judgment Day goes over here, and I don't think there's much to say about that because I think
Yeah.
it's written on the wall.
Yeah. I guess now that I'm thinking about it, I mean, I guess we do have one more week of broadcast to maybe we get a Gunther versus Jey Uso match established here.
So we're not going to get that, and I'll tell you why. So Gunther's visa has run out, and it's got like
Okay.
a few more months. I think when it expires is like right around Bash in Berlin, which is their first pay-per-view in Germany in the history of WWE, I think.
Okay.
So I don't think we get Gunther, which sucks because that would be a great thing there. But I don't think they can physically do it unless they fixed it with his his work visa. He cannot leave the United States for a few more months. So
Okay. Fair enough. Okay. So the next match that they have listed is the women's elimination chamber match, which is the man Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belair versus Liv Morgan versus Tiffany Stratton versus Naomi versus the Battle Royal winner, which I think takes place on Raw.
Friday. Should be this
SmackDown.
Friday.
Okay. Probably. I don't. Have they announced who's in that?
No, and if they have, I haven't paid attention.
Okay, fair enough. Becky Lynch, I feel like it's pretty obvious is going over. They've been rubbing her against Rhea Ripley since the Royal Rumble ended.
Yes.
I mean,
And they've kept them away from each other for over a year. They haven't been interacting until now. So unless you're, under a rock, then you clearly know what's going to happen here, and you clearly know that that's the big marquee women's match at Mania this year, as it should be. Mommy versus the
Definitely.
Man would sell out many buildings everywhere in the history of professional wrestling. So I think it's clear that this is where they go. Do I think they put on match of the night like Rhea and Charlotte did last year? Absolutely not. I think this match will be fine. But it's clear what's going to happen. I do want Tiffany Stratton to be the second to last woman to be eliminated here. I think that having the final two be Tiffany Stratton and Becky Lynch, solidifies Tiffany Stratton. Even if you do like a heel thing, where she just stays out of the way 90% of the time, and like sneaks a win here and there, sneaks a pin here and there.
Like Chris Jericho kind of thing.
Yeah, you have to have her be established as, okay, she's new on the block, but she's a threat. So I think you need to have something happen with Tiffany Stratton here. And knowing WWE, she'll probably be the first one out, but please don't let that be the case.
I'll be curious to see who they throw in as the Battle Royal winner. I'm trying to think if there's any like major wild cards that they could bring forward, but
maybe Shotzi.
I feel like she's in half the women's matches as it is. I'm trying to think of like who else could be. I don't know.
I mean,
it'll be.
I think we were booking it was like the last few that lost have one last chance to get in. So maybe Selena, which would make more sense, but maybe I don't know. I think they booked it as like the people that lost have one last chance in this battle royal to get in. So now I could be wrong about that, but if my memory serves me correctly, that's what they're booking it as. Maybe Selena.
Yeah, I don't remember any mention of the battle royal, but it's here on Wikipedia as like the announced match. So so is Becky Lynch your prediction at this time?
Yeah, Becky Lynch is 100% going over, no questions asked.
Okay. Next up, singles match for the Women's World Championship. Rhea Ripley, aka Mommy, versus Nia Jax. Rhea's going to retain.
Rhea's going to retain. I don't want to spend too much time on this because it's to me, it's had a shit build to begin with. It's going to probably be a shit match.
Yeah.
Piss break match, snack break match for me. Rhea's going over. No questions asked.
Yeah, I think so too. I do think that, and I talked about this last week, but Nia being physically bigger than Rhea, I think there's a dynamic in a Rhea match that we haven't necessarily seen before. But yeah, Rhea's not dropping it here.
No.
And the last announced match as of when we were recording this, which is February 19th, 2024 at just before 6 p.m. Eastern time. The last match announced is the men's Elimination Chamber match, and the announced participants are Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton, Bobby Lashley, Kevin Owens, Logan Paul, and L.A. Knight. Yeah.
Yeah. Man, I
McIntyre.
think this is a no-brainer. Not that I want to see it. I still feel like they're going to add Sami Zayn in there somehow. So maybe the only way I could see this going to fit him in there, and you should, because good God, the dude is super over. The dude deserves a fucking power run to begin with. I want Sami Zayn in this match between Rollins and McIntyre, and I feel like the only way to do that is to have maybe Sami cost Drew the Elimination Chamber somehow, and then there'll be confusion, and then Adam Pearce just be like, you know what, you're both are in it, piss off.
Yeah.
But I think
I would like to see Sami Zayn elevated. I would be surprised, but I've been wrong before. Hopefully I'm wrong now.
Hopefully we're both wrong, because I genuinely don't see it happening, but I hope it happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think McIntyre's the clear winner here. I don't think there's anybody else in this match that even comes close. Maybe Randy Orton, but
yeah,
genuinely don't think anybody else.
I mean, I feel like they've been doing some pretty major foreshadowing with, like, if you look at, even I think before the Rumble, it's like McIntyre's been rubbing against Rollins. He's been rubbing against Punk at the time. Like, I feel like Randy Orton's kind of just been there. He had that match at the Rumble with in the Fatal 4-Way for the men's title, but I don't know. I think McIntyre's the only one that unless they, do a hard exit, I think McIntyre's the only one that's even flirted with the idea of the World Heavyweight Championship.
Mm-hmm. So 100%. I don't think there's anybody else.
Yeah. Agreed. All right, man. Well, I think that is it for the week. Monday Night Raw tonight, which we'll talk about next Monday. Yeah, an hour and a half. That seems about right. A couple interesting matchups coming up this week. Announced for SmackDown. I'm trying to think what it. I think L.A. Knight and Drew McIntyre is announced for SmackDown. And what was announced for this Raw?
I think that's SmackDown. Yeah, I think that was our SmackDown main event for next week. But guys, we had a really great time. I always have a great time talking wrestling with this guy because he understands it and he knows how it works. But I want to thank everybody because we had a lot of good support and a lot of positive things said about last week. And be expecting a lot more guests to come on. I got some guests lined up for you guys in the next coming weeks. My former trainer, Chance Prophet, said he's down to come on. I would love to sit down and pick his brain. A lot of guys that went to my wrestling school are down to come on. I'm trying to line up some more guests. Man, we need to reach out to Chris Danger. Somebody needs to tweet at that dude. Try to get this man on here because I would love to just sit down and talk with him.
I met him at the Rumble. I got his autograph. This one right here is Chris Danger at the bumped into him in the hallway. Did not think to ask for a picture. I was actually going to meet someone else. And I was like, "You're Chris Danker." And he's like, "Yes, sir." And I'm like, "Would you sign this?" And he's like, "Yes, sir." And he signed it and we pretty much parted ways.
So somebody needs to get a hold of that man on Twitter because I would love to have him on. I really love to have him on. He is an integral part of my childhood, but just we're kind of making big moves here at Brotherhood Entertainment. So stay tuned. It's not just going to be me and him every week. Sometimes he might not be able to make it. Like he said, he has 2 special needs kids. Life goes on. Life happens. So it might just not be him every time. We're going to try to make it work for you guys, but we're both adults that have other things to do throughout the day. So if you guys don't get these every Monday, it might be a different day in the week. Just stay along with us, stay along with our journey, and we appreciate everybody that watches, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And even the people that, like, if you comment and say, like, I ride Finn Balor or whatever, like, hey, man, I appreciate you watching. And I love the banter back and forth. I totally get out of your mom's basement. It's all love, man. I appreciate you watching, subscribing, commenting. Watch this man over on Twitch, twitch.tv/Brotherhood Entertainment 2.
We stream almost every day.
Get the w.com/
w.gg.
w.gg. And do you have a code?
Use discount code BHE at checkout to save 10%.
And what's that flavor you got there?
This is the Calio cream. It is a mango orange cream flavor. It is delicious.
Big ups to W. Big ups to Lakota. Tonight, Monday Night Raw, Cody Rhodes takes on the sinister Drew McIntyre. God damn it. And then Friday Night SmackDown, we have L.A. Knight, against I thought it was Drew McIntyre, but that can't be. Who is it on SmackDown then?
Oh, I don't remember. Maybe is it Randy? No, it's not Randy Drew. Somebody Google it.
Yeah. February 23, 2024. I don't know who it is. I'm sorry. I'm an idiot. I shouldn't have said anything.
That's all good. The bloopers, man.
It'll be fun. It'll be fun. All right. Look forward to talking to you guys next week. Lakota, thank you, man. I appreciate everything you're doing. I love your content on Twitch. This is a fun podcast. I appreciate you letting me be part of it. It's wild that, if I'd sat anywhere else at the pre-show, like this never would have happened and would have missed out on making a great lifelong friend. I appreciate you, brother. Hope you're doing well. And we will talk to you next week.
All right, guys. Thank you guys for watching.
Take care, guys.